Hey guys, hello from Club Safari in the Philippines. I just got news from a friend of mine there in the UK. I think he's now in London. Hey brah, how are you, man? About yet another terrorist attack in Europe. Well, guys, I don't know what can I say about this. You know, I have I've created my course called Black Shield Elite Training, Urban Survival, because a few years ago I've realized that this problem is basically like a snowball coming down a mountain, right? And we all know what happens to a snowball. It's just getting bigger and bigger each and every day. And the problem is not gonna go away anytime soon at all. It's just gonna get much bigger. That's why I have created this course, BSET, Black Shield Elite Training, so check it out. Anyway, now there's a concept, a modern concept, is called blowback. Buddhism, which is an age-old religion, calls it karma, or the Christians would call it what you reap, you shall sow. If we just have a quick look at the history of Europe, you know, starting a few hundred years ago already, this whole thing is it's like a golden thread. Why this is all happening now in Europe, and not only Europe, it's all over the Western world. Colonialism, you know, the Europeans were kind of, well, they just left Europe in the Middle Ages, and because it was a terrible time in Europe, you know, it was really rough. People were dying like flies. The Black Death, people would wake up in the morning with some bumps on their body and they would literally drop dead by the afternoon. Boom, just like that. People were dying by the millions in Europe. People were starving. There were religious wars that went on for hundreds of years. You know, this was long before the fucking First and Second World War. During the Middle Ages, Europe had hundreds of years of warfare, right, and diseases and starvation. And so the Europeans were like, we have to get the fuck out of Europe, you know, and they went into the world, and they discovered beautiful countries, or places like, you know, North America, South America, here in the Philippines. The Filipinos were quite clever when they saw Columbus, you know, landing there near Cebu, where the Cebu airport is, Lapu-Lapu. That was the name of the chieftain who killed Columbus. So he was one of the clever ones. He realized you have to kill them first before they kill you. Sorry, Europeans, but that's the way it is. You know, I'm a South African, but how did I end up in South Africa? My mother's family was on the first ship that came from Holland in 1600s. Okay, I can even still speak an ancient form of Dutch, Flemish, Plattdeutsch, whatever you want to call it. Right? It's a root language of all these languages. Hey, Koen. Ja, ek weet jy gaan nou nie met my saamstem nie, maar ek dink ek praat Vlaams beter as jy. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to this thing at hand now. So blowback, the actions that you took before, and now the consequences. The Europeans over hundreds of years have created these consequences. It's all like build up now, and it's now just not only now. I mean, the first, you know, terrorist attacks happened in Europe hundreds of years ago. You know, you look at Guy Fawkes. He wanted to blow up the English king during the 1600s, and the Parliament. You know, Napoleon Bonaparte survived the assassination attempts. And so from then on, you can go on, and over the last 40, 50 years since the Second World War, 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now into the 2000s, it's just been intensifying in Europe. I mean, there were literally hundreds of attacks. If I look at my computer here, let me just see if I can find a few good examples. Just a few. I can't, you know. I mean, in Italy, for example, Italy from 1969 to 1981, there were 2,000 murders, terrorist-related murders, right? Including many of them were bombings. Of course, in the UK, you had the IRA. Which, you know, there were bombings every single year since 1970, right? And that's pretty much true for most European countries. There were terrorist attacks every single year since the 60s and 70s. The French, the Spanish, the Italians, Southern Europe, the Greeks, And even the Germans, had their terrorist groups. You know, not as totally as bad as the others, but still, you know. And now this time it's getting worse and worse. And of course, even in Norway had Anders Breivik, the biggest single mass murderer in the history, you know, of terrorism, Anders Breivik. So, yeah, if you look here, the Irish Army, Irish Republican Brotherhood had a big explosion, 1867, killed 12, 120 injured. That was in England, Clerkenwell. In Romania, 1921, there was Belgrade Palace bombing, 100 killed by some separatists. And then just on and on, you know, Bulgaria, France, Cyprus. From the 60s, 1961, some secret army organization in France, the train bombing, 28 killed, 100 injured. Cyprus Airways flight was shot down or bombed down by 67. So you can go on and on, 69, 70. Let me see, Swiss Air. Yeah, I was not the only one who complained about Swiss Air. In 1970, Swiss Air bombing, flight 330, 47 killed. So there you go. So let me look at the bigger ones. In Italy, Rome Airport, 1973, 34 dead, 22 injured. Ireland, Dublin, Monaghan bombings, 34 killed by the Ulster Volunteer Force. So you can go on, 88 killed in TWA flight bombings, Greece, 1974. Then we had, oh, there are many, every single year. Spain, 1979, Hotel Corona, 80 plus killed. Italy, the next year, 1980, 85 killed, 200 injured. Then Germany, Oktoberfest bombings, Oktoberfest in 1980, 13 killed, 211 injured. Hyde Park, England. Just on and on and on and on and on and on. Long list. You got to go and read this. Okay, the Indian air bombings in Ireland, 329 killed. Egypt air flight hijacking, 60 killed in Malta. Italy, Austria airport attacks, 23 killed. On and on and on and on and on and a long list. UK, Scotland, Pan Am flight bombings, 270 killed, 1988. Blah blah blah, bombings. Omaha, yeah, I mentioned that. That's another one. 29 killed by the real IRA, 1998. Yugoslavia, 192 killed in the Madrid train bombings. That's 2004. Almost 200 dead, 2,000 wounded. Then the next year, London bombings, 56 killed, 784 people injured. Ooh, if you're injured by shrapnel, that's bad. Those are bad injuries, man. Norway, 2011, 77 killed, 319 wounded. France, 2015, Paris bomb attacks, 137 killed, 368 injured. Brussels, Belgium, even Belgium, bombings, Brussels bombings, 35 killed, 340 injured. Nice truck attack, 87 killed. Berlin Christmas market, 12 killed. Manchester Arena, 19 killed, 59. That's the one that we're talking about now. So when you look at all these, I mean, there are hundreds of these bombings, right, all over Europe. Now, and then they have the temerity to give travel warnings coming to the Philippines. Huh? I'm here in Mindanao. I've documented in one of my previous programs, Abu Sayyaf and terrorism attacks here. 2 US soldiers killed in 17 years. There's a US army stationed here in Mindanao. 5 foreigners kidnapped in 17 years. 1 bombing in Davao. 2 bombings, sorry, in 17 years. Okay, this is like, oh, Mindanao. Don't go to Mindanao. Compare Mindanao to Spain, Italy, France, Germany, UK. It's the safest place in the world. We are in the safest. I'm adamant. The Mindanao is really, I always say the last good place in Asia is Mindanao, right where I am right here. And looking at the evidence here, it's just clear as daylight. Okay, but what can you do now? Let's say, you know, you get the first. Let's look at bombings. What, you know, the history of bombings. Car bombings. Car bombings started off, I think it was in 1920s or something, by the IRA. But it's becoming a very common thing recently, right? In the last 20 years or so, 30 years, because a vehicle, why is that? A vehicle, you can just pack it with explosives. Like in my previous program, I told you about the Bali bombings. Obviously in Bali, where two of my friends got blown, you know, Fitz was only recognized after 3 months from DNA testing. 3 months to collect a little piece of DNA to identify him. So that van that was parked there had 1,000 kilograms of explosives, a ton. So that's why, you know, vehicle bombings. You can pack them with explosives, you can park them, you can walk away, you can activate them over a distance. Perfect weapon, you know. Now, the other kind of bombings that is quite constant is also parcels and letters, you know. Even a letter bomb can blow your face off or kill you. So you have to be really careful when. Obviously, you can take some basic safety measures, like if you go abroad, right, and then somebody delivers a letter to you, you got to be really wary of. I mean, why does somebody send you a letter, you know, when you're traveling around? So you got to be, you know, very wary of that. And then of course look at the thing, you know, if there's a explosive inside, it can often leak or sweat, or it's quite heavy, you know. I mean, it can be light, but it's still heavy, you know, comparatively. There will be a lot of postage stamps on it. There could be stains on it. It could be unbalanced, you know, depending on the load. So, you know, a card will just will be kind of balanced, right, in your hands. So you can. These are the small things that you can try and. That you should look at, you know. If you see, well, if you receive a parcel, and you know, there's obvious things like if you hear maybe a sound like tick tock, then all the bets are off, right? Okay, so letter bombs, parcel bombs. I will include here hand grenades because it's not technically, it's not really a bomb, but it is a bomb. I mean, it's definitely a bomb, but it's you know, it's built on the concept of shrapnel, right? So hand grenades. You know, we all know, I guess, that there is a timer or whatever. You know, it usually 4 to. The problem with the timer thing is you can never be 100% sure if it's 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 2 seconds, and you know, or if the pin, you know, if the pin was pulled and the guy was holding it for 2 seconds and then he chucks it at you and then you got 2 seconds. So I will never advise you to try and pick it up and throw it. Just try and the best thing to do. Well, when I was in training in the South African Army, I remember there was a couple of instances. I was, you know, I mean, I'm a cricket player, right? So I'm very accurate with my throwing, and we were at this training ground with sandbags, and then there, you know, the hand grenade was there. You come drilling up, you know, and then, okay, then it's like take up grenade, you know, and then you take your grenade, you know, and then you put your finger in the pin, you know, and then look at your target, you know, and then pull the pin, you know, and then throw, you know. But when the guy said, when the sergeant, you know, when he said pull the pin, you know, I was already like, I already saw my target, and I was already, yeah, boom, and I ducked, and you know, but he wanted to do it the military way, you know, and then I was already jumping the gun a bit, so he grabbed me, like pulled me up, look at the target, and I'm like, yes, I knew exactly what the fuck I hit my target, right? And I'm like already going down, you know, and this fucking sergeant was like trying to pull me up, you know. What a fucking asshole. Anyway, during that same exercise, one of the dudes, he totally froze. He pulled the pin, and then it was like, okay, let go, or what the order, you know, hueyo granad, you know, and the guy was like, "Woo!" And then he froze, and then the sergeant shouted at him, drop it. And the guy dropped the grenade right there, and then to make it even worse, the sergeant grabbed this guy and then he pulled him over the wall. There was like a little arena there, like quite a drop, like about 2 meters. And then the officer, there had to be 2 people in authority. The officer dived on the grenade and chucked it over the wall. Can you believe this shit? So the sergeant and this one dude was already over the wall into the arena, into the sand. Luckily, they dropped flat on their, you know, the sergeant is very experienced. So usually a grenade will explode at like a certain angle, 30 or 45 degrees. So you have a little bit of chance, you know, to, if you're not too close, you probably, you may not cop a lot of shrapnel. So what do you do when a grenade is kind of dropping right near you, or somebody throws it at you, or you open this, it's like a booby trap, you know, you open a box or out drops a grenade, you know, or you know, obviously you just want to, like I said, it could explode any second, so you cannot stay upright, you know, you want to go down immediately. But as far away from the grenade as you can get. So, and also watch the, you know, just try and keep an eye on the grenade, because this thing can roll, you know, it can roll after you, it can follow you, you know, it's no good you fucking hit the deck there and you're like, wait, and then boom, you know, and then you're goner, right? So, but try to dive away as far as you can, as flat as you can, with your feet obviously facing the grenade. You know, try to cover your ears, because that blast, you know, and then open your mouth too, so that your lungs won't burst from the impact, you know, the shock wave. There's a shock wave. People don't understand it, but it's actually a shock wave can often kill, you know, like in a like even a landmines, you know, and these big bombs that the Americans and the Russians, you know, the big daddies and the big mummies, whatever they call them, it's the shock wave that will often kill you, not the explosion, not the heat. Okay, so anyway, let's go on and then talk about, now you come to the terrorists, the modern day terrorists. A lot of them are suicide bombers, you know, which makes it very tough, because these people have been brainwashed, you know, and they believe in paradise, or they're going to get a big financial, you know, their families are going to get a big financial reward. So, you know, you're on a packed bus, packed train, and then this guy walks in, you know, and now again, you know, it's all about awareness, you know. Most people are not aware. They got the earphones in, they're on their phone, on their tablet, on their computer, they're not paying attention. It's been proven. I mean, people getting shot to death right on a train in the middle of a crowd. Nobody's paying attention, you know. So you've got to be aware all the time. You know, in my course, I teach awareness first of all. Now, you know, if somebody is going to kill himself, blow himself up, you know, he's not going to be a normal person. You are definitely going to. If you look at his face and into his eyes, you're going to see it. You're going to see that this guy, there's something radically wrong. And then you got to look at the clothing, what he's wearing, what he's carrying. You know. Obviously, if it's going to be a big bomb, you know, he wants to make it as strong as he can, as heavy as he can, the biggest bomb, you know, and then it's going to be heavy, because you know, there will be bolts and nuts and shit all around it to create that shrapnel effect, you know. And so if the guy's sweating, or the girl, it could be a girl, it could be a child, you know, unseasonal clothes, all of that stuff, the eyes, or if they put down if you're in a bus or a train, you see somebody leave a bag there and just get off, you know, in a hurry. Don't wait around, you know. I mean, sorry to say this, you know, maybe you can't convince other people to get off, but if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else, you know. Believe in God, but carry a big stick and be aware. So, and always keep an eye out for suspicious parcels and stuff, you know. And of course, to survive, the position, your location on the transport is very important, because the terrorist or the bomber will want to create the maximum amount of damage. So he will go to where the maximum number of people. If it's at the train station, most people rush to the middle, right? So always remove yourself to the edges, you know, as far as you can. The first car, the last car, you're pretty much guaranteed that there's not going to be a bomb there, because, I mean, the damage is going to be minimal compared to in the middle of the train, right, or the bus even. So go to the edges, and then the time. Again, if it's midnight, why the fuck are they going to put the bomb on the train? There's nobody on the train, so you know, travel off peak hours. I really recommend that. And that's switch into the next suggestion, which is avoid all this. Majority of these attacks happen at packed places, stadiums, sporting events, Olympics, shows like the concert, packed bars, packed discos, packed hotels. Pretty much, if you avoid these places and you go off peak times and you stick to the edges and you have awareness, then you pretty much you have about 0% chance, or less chance than getting hit by lightning or being eaten by a fucking crocodile, or unless you live in Africa. I know 3 people been eaten by crocodiles, by the way. That's another story. So yeah, that's my little take on yeah, I don't know what else can I tell you guys. I'm sorry to hear about another attack, but don't be surprised if there's going to be more and more and more and more. Better prepare yourself. Do a survival training course. It's a small investment in your life. It's a few days or a few weeks or whatever, but it can really save your life. Just do it. Don't think about it. Do it. Okay, guys, please subscribe if you can. And hey, if you like it, push like, man. Why the fuck not? And subscribe, because I need 1,000 subscriptions. Okay, it's free. The best things in life is free, and my advice is good. So subscribe. We gotta get to 1,000. Okay. Okay, guys. I hope this helped. Okay. Hey, bruh, they're in London. Come over this side, man. Come and relax. Okay, cheers. Out. Peace. Peace.